fluid coding, and AI. An agent that can write a worker but cannot deploy it is still basically waiting for a human with a login page. Cloudflare's temporary account flow changes that first bottleneck. But the real question is not, can it deploy Hello World? The real question is whether it can hand me something I can actually own. For this episode, the test is a deployment handoff contract. The agent has to build a small worker-backed tool, deploy it with Wrangler temporary deploy, fetch the public workers.dev URL, prove the response is real, fix a live defect, redeploy it, and return the claim URL. That last part matters. A demo URL is nice. A claim URL, verification notes, and production caveats are a handoff. Cloudflare announced temporary accounts for AI agents on June 19, 2026. The basic idea is simple. If Wrangler has no credentials, an agent can discover the temporary deploy path and rerun with the temporary flag. Cloudflare says that creates or reuses a temporary preview account, deploys the worker to workers.dev, and prints a claim URL. The deployment stays live for 60 minutes. If a human claims it, the account can become permanent. If not, it expires. The clean version of the test starts logged out of Cloudflare with Wrangler version 4.12.0 or later. That matters because the docs say temporary deploy is for unauthenticated use. If normal auth credentials or an API token are already active, this is not the same test. Then the agent should try the normal deploy, hit the auth wall, notice Wrangler's guidance, rerun with the temporary flag, and capture exactly what it received back. Here is where my expectation changed. The deploy is not the most interesting part anymore. That sounds backwards because deployment is usually where agent demos go to die. But once temporary accounts remove the login wall, the harder question becomes ownership and recovery. Can the agent prove the live URL works? Can it fix the thing it just shipped? And when state gets involved, does it recover or quietly pretend everything is fine? So the worker should not be a toy that only returns one string. A better handoff test is tiny but stateful, a home page, a health endpoint, a tasks endpoint, and a version endpoint that changes between deploy 1 and deploy 2. That gives the agent something real to verify. The health route proves the service is alive. The version route proves the redeploy happened. The state route exposes whether the design is honest about persistence. This is the part I want agents to do by default. Fetch the public URL after deploy and summarize the response, not Wrangler said success. The actual endpoint return the expected content, then introduce a small defect. Maybe the health endpoint reports the wrong version, or the tasks endpoint misses a field. The agent fixes it, redeploys inside the 60-minute window, and verifies the changed endpoint. That is the difference between deployment theater and a useful handoff. The claim URL is the ownership transfer, so the agent should treat it like a sensitive secret. Do not splash a live token into logs, screenshots, or chat history unless you are absolutely sure it is safe. The useful handoff is redacted and specific. Live URL, claim URL handled carefully, Wrangler version, whether the temporary account was created or reused, verification commands, what changed in the redeploy, resources used, and the next production steps. Now the stateful part. Durable objects are a good fit for agent and session state, but the name can mislead people. In-memory variables are not durable across eviction. If the object hibernates or restarts, the constructor can run again and memory can reset. Cloudflare's docs are clear on the fix. State that must survive needs to be written to storage. For WebSocket hibernation, per connection state should be restored with serialized attachments. The correct claim is recovery through persistence, not magic memory. Cloudflare agents are built on durable objects, and the docs frame each agent as a persistent, stateful execution environment. That is why this topic belongs in the handoff story, not just the deployment story. The agent's docs describe named or ID-based instances, persisted chat, resumable streaming, real-time sync, and reconnecting back to the same agent instance. On June 26, 2026, the Agents SDK changelog added recovery improvements for deploys, evictions, and reconnects. The most interesting new piece is background sub-agents. Cloudflare documents detach sub-agent runs that can continue outside the parent turn, report progress, keep durable milestones, support cancellation, and reattach during recovery. That does not mean infinite background work with no consequences. Budgets, cancellation, status, and visible progress still matter. But for agent systems, this is the shape you want. A parent can delegate a long task without losing every breadcrumb when a tab disconnects or a deploy lands mid-turn. The production boundary is not subtle. Cloudflare says temporary deploy is for unauthenticated prototyping and first-time evaluation, not production or CI/CD. After the claim, a real team still needs normal auth, secrets, observability, rollback or version strategy, resource ownership, migration planning, and billing ownership. Wrangler deploy also pushes a new version to 100% of traffic by default, so production may need more controlled deployment steps. Temporary accounts solve the first deploy wall. They do not erase operational work. My verdict is that Cloudflare temporary accounts are a strong agent-native deployment bridge, as long as we grade them on the right job. The win is not that an agent can put a tiny worker online for an hour. The win is that an unauthenticated agent can discover the path, deploy, verify, redeploy, and return an ownership link. The handoff becomes concrete. The limit is just as important. Production begins after the claim, when credentials, secrets, observability, rollback, and recovery testing become explicit. If this helped you separate a flashy deploy from a real handoff, like the video and subscribe to Fluid Coding and AI. More agent deployment tests, platform deep dives, and practical failure cases are coming.